What is up, YouTube? This is DEFCON 3 Security, broadcasting from the underground command post deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, also known as my mother's basement. Hey guys, so it's second day of quarantine from me. I'm not crying. I actually took a shower and overshaved. I look like a baby here. So the shower water got in my eyes, made my eyes red. I probably sat out for like 30 minutes hoping the redness will go away, but it hasn't. And I want to get a video done. So, I've been watching a lot of movies, drinking a lot of liquids. I have my moments where I feel a lot better, and then my body starts aching, and I get this 100-degree temperature, and then it goes down, and I feel good, and then it's just been back and forth, back and forth. I have a coronavirus test tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'll let you guys know the results. I'll also keep you posted on my well-being. I certainly do appreciate all of you guys sending me your thoughts and wishes and prayers and advice and tips, and it means a lot to me. But most importantly, I need you guys to be safe as well, because if I can get sick, you guys can get sick. As it stands, I think this is just a flu. I think I got the flu. I kind of hope it's the coronavirus so I can just get it out of the way. But then I would argue that I did have it in March as well, as I mentioned in my last video. So I don't know, dude. I'm clueless. At the time in March, they didn't have a proper test for me, and now I have the opportunity to take a test tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Damn, dude, my eyes are red and my face looks so smooth. It's crazy. All right, so, I'm watching all these movies. I watched a movie called Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. Excellent movie. It was basically about an aging guy, and he was dealing with neighbors that were crazy. And, it got me to reflect a lot. Obviously, it's just a movie, but in his life, he was getting older, and things that were important to him didn't seem like they were money driven. It came down to him just drinking a coffee or drinking a beer on his porch with his dog, watching the world go by. And he seemed to really enjoy that. And as I'm watching this movie and then reflecting on life, thinking, wow, man, as guards, a lot of us, we're trying to chase that dollar. I got a comment today and it says, hey, if you're working in San Francisco, you should be making more than 30-something dollars an hour. I got another guy message me earlier this morning, says, hey, man, they're offering me $20 an hour. Does that seem like a good amount? And, I keep getting these questions about money. And the truth is, whatever you would wake up and do free every single day of your life, that is what you do for a living, right? If you are miserable at your job, $30 an hour, it doesn't cut it. If you are truly happy at your job, and when you go in, you have good coworkers and a good HR, and at the end of the day, you just feel good, and you're making $20 an hour, I would take that $20 an hour over the 30 any day. So it's all that quality of life. Why do you want to go to work, chase that dollar only to be absolutely miserable, not get any days off of work, right? And then you stack up this money and all those memories of your kids grown up or relationships or you name it, it just kind of, they go away quick, man. The world moves fast, and it doesn't stop for anybody, and nobody is guaranteed another day. I know we hear it all the time, but look at me, dude. I'm a fairly healthy guy. Yeah, I do struggle with my weight a little bit. It bothers me, but I would not expect to have any sort of, like, honestly, I don't think I'm going to die for another 30, 40 years, but that's my thinking. We all know that can change at a drop of a hat, man. I mean, let's say I do have the coronavirus and it spirals out of control and I'm not here a week from now, right? Look at that. All that money I stacked up for what? So I can have a good funeral? It doesn't buy time. That's for sure. I could have a heart attack and they say, wow, we did not know he had a clogged artery, 60%, 70%. Right? There's so many variables. Man, security guard's worst nightmare. I could get shot on the job. And sometimes, it crosses my mind, but I try to push it out like, dude, There's an officer that was just shot earlier today. There was one that was shot yesterday, and there was one that was shot the day before yesterday. It was breaking news. Some officer today tried, I don't know the details. He went to a hotel and some guy shot him and took off. And he's dead. And I don't think he woke up this morning thinking he would be dead. The officer that died 2 days ago was going to retire this December. And he was already planning his retirement and thinking, wow, I'm going to get a good pension, and counting his vacations and all these cool things he's going to do. And he's not with us anymore. And it's not just limited to officers, taxi drivers, Uber drivers, restaurant workers, chefs, you name it, right? All these people all expect to be around and work their tails off. And in the end, you're not guaranteed another day. So yes, it is important as guards, we know our value. But value is not just monetary. Just, when I say know your value, I don't mean, the more you value yourself, the more money you should make. You could value the happiness level on your job. If you are doing something you truly enjoy, then it's okay to make less money. Or if you have a job that's just really cool, you're able to sit there, guard a giant roll-up gate, and you're being, and you're in a position where you can sit in your car, listen to music, and you're getting paid $18 an hour, and that pays your bills. Dude, take that job. Don't just, don't pass those jobs up because you feel like they're not paying enough. Now, again, if people are trying to lowball you, don't take that as well. But, it's hard to talk. You can see my voice is already cracking. I'm starting to get feeling ill again, but I'm going to push through this. And then we're going to look back at this video a month from now and say, dude, you looked beat. Psychologists did a study. I just read the numbers again a few minutes ago just to get it squared away. They did a study on happiness and money. If you are making very little money, it affects your happiness because your kids don't eat, because you feel like a failure, because you don't have the ability to travel or just get the basic necessities of life to sustain yourself. I think the biggest depression is if you don't have enough money to buy food and your kids are crying because they're hungry. So certainly money has a factor there. But as far as a first world country like America, and I use that sparingly, they say that after between making $65,000 and $75,000 a year, your emotional happiness is at its peak. Making more money will not make you happier when you're making $65,000 to $75,000. When you make $90,000 to $95,000 a year, your life wellness, God, I forgot the word they used, but your overall look on life and everything is about as high as it's going to get. Now, this is influenced by money. Once you start making $105,000 a year or more, your level of happiness, parallel to the money you make, starts to go down. So the money not only doesn't really make you any happier, but it starts to take away from you because you're like, dude, I'm making six figures, right? Good job, high five, but damn, I'm paying more taxes. It's just enough to be able to afford a house, but not a big house. You get what I'm saying. People start to critique themselves more. Getting to that first 100,000 is huge. Like, oh my God, I'm making six figures. But then now you've got a bigger, to go from six figures to seven figures, it's a huge, huge roller coaster ride upward. And you'll probably never obtain that. It's like when I was younger, I could not wait to hit 21 years old. Actually, no, take that back. Couldn't wait to hit 18. When I was 18, I could not wait to hit 21 years old. And then when I hit 21 years old, I'm like, dude, there's nothing more to look forward to. This is kind of depressing. As a matter of fact, I don't want to get any older because it's not helping me out. So when we type in these comments, hey man, how much should a guard make? Well, you don't want to be underpaid. Granted, being overpaid is okay. But it all is, when I say know your value, what I mean is we all have a value to us. Don't work somewhere where you're not happy. The current company I work at, dude, I've only been here a month and a half. I called up the HR department, told them I don't feel well. I was nervous about it because I've had a lot of bad experiences with other companies, and they were very concerned about me being sick. Like, oh my gosh, I hope you feel better. And then next day I get a message, how are you feeling? Are you drinking liquids? I hear that drinking whiskey and tea, no kidding, it's a way to get rid of body pains. I mean, these folks are actually concerned about my health and giving me tips here, and it's a good feeling. If this company were to say tomorrow, hey, we're going to pay you $4 an hour less, I would still be with this company. But Mike, know your value, right? You should be making more. Yeah, I should be making more, but as far as being happy with a company, you can't pay for that. My last company, or the company before that, not so much, dude. These guys can pay me. They could have paid me more and I still would have been miserable because there was no sense of, I don't know, we didn't have any company parties. We didn't have any, I remember I was working on Thanksgiving and I'm like, dude, it sucks. Like, this guy comes by to check our uniforms. I honestly thought he came by to bring me like turkey or something for Thanksgiving. And he came to check my uniform to make sure I was dressed up properly and I had the right shoes. And then he wrote me down and says, oh, you don't have the right pants on, so we're going to take a point off. And that was it. And I'm thinking, damn, dude, I'm thinking you guys came to bring me turkey or say, hey, man, thanks for working the holidays. I really appreciate it. None of that, dude. We never had any employee appreciation month. We never had none of that, and that stuff's really important. I mean, if you want to help a company succeed, you want to get a little bit back too, right? You want to get some sort of acknowledgement. So if your company that you currently work for is acknowledging you and they know your value, but they cannot afford to pay you more because the contract limits them or you negotiated incorrectly, that's on you. But like I said, if they're paying you a fair wage, but most importantly, they treat you like a human, I say stick with that job. And then look for bigger or grow yourself in other ways. My best friend, he works at Stanford, good job in the computer industry, and he's got some kooky idea to start selling a product, which I will review as soon as I get it in the mail. And it's a pretty genius product, and it's pretty cool. He could become a millionaire off this product, or he might just make some side money. But either way, he's making extra money on a hustle, right? So if your current company, you're happy with it, think of another hustle to alleviate some of those bills. I sell exotic spiders as a side hustle, and I do pretty well with that. And when I say exotic spiders, I only sell one species of spiders. That's it. I currently have some exotic praying mantises, but they're not breeding yet because they're too young, but that's another hustle. My best friend also, he prints things like on mouse pads, coffee mugs, Christmas ornaments. He does really well. And he's been doing this for years, right? So yeah, he's got his job that he punches into every day, and there's no freedom in doing that. They tell him when to eat. They tell him when to come to work. They tell him when to take the day off. So he's kind of a slave to that industry. But when he comes home, he runs his own business. And there's some financial freedom there, but it's also a sense of pride that knowing that this endeavor that he created is making him revenue and helping him become, what's that word? Financial freedom, I think. Financial independence. There you go. So he's becoming financially independent through all these endeavors. I think it was the book called The Rich Man, Poor Dad, or Rich Son, Poor Dad. One part of the book, it says, if you want to become a millionaire, have 5 different hustles and you'll become a millionaire. So I've got a few hustles. I've got my spider business. I own a pool business. I do security. I buy and sell things from auctions. Like I'm part of an auction club, and I'll go on their website and buy these huge pallets of things and resell them. Well, not necessarily pallets, but a lot of things and resell them. So It's not all about just the one job you do. You can have multiple jobs. You can be kind of miserable in one job, right? Security, but then feel accomplished in other jobs. So, yeah, I remember, thinking back, and then we're going to cut this because I'm getting tired. I remember years ago when I was part of a church not too far from here, everybody would always come up to you and say, "Hey, what's your name?" And then the next question would be like, "So what do you do for a living?" And at that time, my buddy John was not employed. So he would always say hesitantly, "Yeah, I'm currently not employed." And I could tell people looked down on him. They would be like, "Oh, okay, cool." Right? And I remember talking to John and I'm like, who gives a crap what you do for a living? You know? And it's common. In some cultures, it really is important to know what you do for a living. But then we started changing it around. People would come up to me and say, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" And at the time, I owned a CPR, first aid, water safety, if you want. I taught all emergency response classes. I own the company or the business. And, I would tell people that and they'd be like, "Wow, good for you, man." But I got tired of telling people I did that and having them pat me on the back. So when they would say, "What do you do for a living?" I'd say, "Well, what I do for a living is boring. But let me tell you what I do for life, right? For life, I travel. I've been to 32 countries. I've purchased 3 vehicles at the time. I've tried surfing. I've tried snowboarding. I've tried scuba diving. I've tried, different foods. I pet a monkey. I rode an elephant. I mean, what I do for life is way more exciting than what I do for a living. Anyways, guys, I'm just ranting here at this point, but I know some of this stuff is interesting to some of you guys. So there you go. As always, know your value, but value doesn't always equal money. Know your worth. Worth doesn't always equal money. You are worthy, that's for sure. But most importantly, and above all, subscribe. Be safe.